All right, so Real Estate Mavericks would be honored to welcome Tia Lilly, luxury and waterfront real estate specialist, Cape Cod. You are where the action is down there for luxury and waterfront. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Bill. One of my favorite topics. So, love to chat.
Wonderful. All right. So yeah, you're down on the Cape, and it's a really different vibe down there. You get people from all over the world coming in. Luxury
Yes.
waterfront. It's a resort destination, uh, a political destination. I mean, there's a lot of politicians that have property down there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of actors and actresses and all kinds of scientists and just it's just a different, yes, it's a very
Yeah.
mixed. A lot of people here. But they're only here part-time, which is very interesting. They're not full-time.
Ah,
So,
ah,
yeah. Yeah.
okay. Hey,
Yeah.
so for yourself, how did you get involved in this specialty here? What was kind of the light bulb moment for you in your career to choose luxury waterfront?
I got lucky really because I didn't take to like I have a couple agents that take to real estate like fish in a water. They just were meant to be in this business. And there's a lot of people like that. That was not my situation at all.
Oh,
Yeah, no. I actually didn't even like it. I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? This isn't for me. But there's not a lot of careers that you can have unless you're in the medical field here or attorney. It's very retail and service
mm,
oriented, not a lot
mhm,
of industry. So I'm like, well, so anyway, I got very lucky. I partnered up with somebody that is now Property Cape Cod Real Estate, which is my real estate website, and it drew buyers really from all over the world that wanted to come
mm,
here and own a home on Cape Cod because that's where it's very like you said, it's a resort destination. It's they usually own multiple homes and they'd like to have a home on the Cape. It's beautiful here. So
mhm.
I got lucky, and that's kind of how my career started. And I started loving it. I get to meet wonderful people, so intelligent, smart, done so much with their lives. So the relationships is what I love about it the most.
Wonderful. A lot of people would say that getting lucky requires a lot of preparation and a lot of hard work in there. So, what else do you attribute your success to here?
Well, I think that, I always say this, and I say this to myself as well, because if we open our eyes and we look around, there's always opportunities. We just don't always see them.
Hmm.
So if I were to attribute like the success, because I started off with this gentleman that was also my mentor, and he taught me everything I knew. He was the one that actually started this website. This was
Hmm.
back before where we are. We're in a whole new realm now with search engine, SEO, AI. This was back like we used to get uh, inundated, hundreds of leads a day. So everybody in the company I started with thought the leads were no good. So they didn't want to work them because the second home buyer, or let's say the multiple home buyer, it's a long-term relationship. They
Hmm.
it's not something, hey, I want to come to the Cape and buy a house. We see that a little bit more now with after COVID, but back then, I'm working on a sale right now with a client of mine that she bought through me and now she's selling. But we worked for 8 years before she found this house that she's been in for, over 10 years that she's now selling. So it's a very
Nice.
long, yeah. So, I mean, I would work really hard and have not a lot to show for it at times because it would take time but that was also the beauty of it because well, I mean, I consider a lot of them my friends and they come into town,
Hmm.
I see them, and it's the intellectual part of it I thrive on. Like, I love to learn from them. So, yeah.
Nice. Nice. So, you've journeyed from being an agent, starting out as an agent, to running the business, and it's a
Hmm.
very specialized market. what does that transition really look like behind the scenes? You know, the good and the challenging. You're
The
running
good and
things
the
there.
challenging. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just even starting, I had a clients of mine or they loaned me a small amount. So to get on my own, that was always a challenge because it's hard as to just get ahead to do that. And I've always had to like nothing, I'm grateful, but I've always had to work for everything. I didn't come from a background of like money and so forth. And was actually raised my son myself, so a single parent. But it taught me even more skills. So I'm more of a solution solver, is how I look at it, because
Yeah,
we always go through transactions. And I know as realtors, we always like to paint the picture that everything's like just so easy and wonderful, but there's bumps in the road and there's hurdles. So I think that was so it was more like to answer your question, just
mhm.
I wanted to be a solution provider. And
Okay.
sometimes when you're in the corporate structure, it's harder to do that.
I see. I see. All right. So,
So,
uh, waterfront and luxury real estate, they're completely different animals, are they? What truly differentiates these properties from
um,
everything else out there?
so like for the Cape, we're surrounded by, not only oceans, we're on a peninsula, but we're also have a lot of lakes and ponds and whatnot. So that's what drives people here. And there's, a lot of golf courses. It's just a wonderful place to be. Luxury and waterfront could it be the same thing, but a lot of times they're not. So I always look at it as like we have two markets here. There's also year-round neighborhoods. So we
Mhm.
have the year-round neighborhood market, but anything on or near water tends to be fall into water or luxury. And it may not actually be luxury, but it's the location, I think, that we're more talking about. The
Sure, sure.
location could be luxury, but the house might not be luxury. It needs updating. It needs, to
Mm-hmm.
bring it into more modern times. But
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of where the two markets divide, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Have you noticed a difference in your clientele, say, since COVID? What are the trends in luxury and waterfront purchases right now, moving forward?
It's not a difference. There's no difference in terms of who it is that is purchasing. What's more changed is like back when I was talking about when I first started, I might show homes for it was 8 years before we found the right one.
Yep.
Nowadays, if the right one comes on the market, they're more apt to go for it. That changed with COVID. And the pricing's a lot higher.
Right. Okay,
So
so that drove everything up.
it drove everything up, and a lot
Mhm.
of it's hard to find the quote unquote good ones. So when I say that, I'm saying from a location standpoint. A lot of people are holding on to their homes. So if anybody's out there and they do think, "Hey, should I sell?" There's some questions to ask yourself, but it's a great time to sell because there's not a lot there for buyers to choose from. And
Right.
now they're surprised
Mhm.
sometimes how much they can get too. It's really
Uh-huh.
changed.
Ah,
Yes.
all right. What are some things, in your opinion, here that buyers don't realize until they're actually deep into a waterfront transaction? Say regulations, say anything coming down from the government that can slow the thing down or derail it.
Well, something that, FEMA is always, I think, getting flood insurance, for example, if they're closed, like always get out in front of flood insurance, especially with shutdowns these days, because if FEMA's closed, you can't get quotes. A lot of people need that to get the flood. But I think the biggest thing is like buyers should be able to focus on like looking for that ideal property and then to make sure that that is the ideal property depending on how they're going to use it. So,
Okay.
do they want to swim in it? Do they want to boat? Do they want? There's just a lot that goes into that. Then I just want to get a waterfront property. And then when you are on the waterfront, I'll share an example if you'd like. So
Sure.
I say to this is something that I'm going to share something that I did not follow my own rule.
Oh,
So, oh, yes, which we
okay.
don't often like to share as realtors, but I
Now
will
this
own
is
it.
this is
I
okay.
will own it. So, I say all the time, I'm always saying, and even when I'm on podcasts, order of conditions, it's a process. It goes through conservation. When let's say that you want to add a dock, and maybe you can't even add a dock. So that's what you want to know before you buy a property thinking you can add a dock.
Mm.
But
Hmm. Hmm.
if it was approved, you're buying something, you want to check for any outstanding orders of conditions. So if a seller, you're a buyer, the seller's buying property, what have they done on the outside? And has that been
Hmm.
closed out? That will hold up your closing. So
Hmm.
I did not do that. I broke my own rule. I had a conversation with a client. I thought we were under control given the situation. I said, I don't need to check that. It's all set. It was not all set. So
Uh-huh. Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
always from the get go. Yeah.
Right.
And that
Right.
what it means is in this scenario, it's going to be fine. They'll get closed out, but it's a later closing.
Hmm. How have zoning regulations changed in waterfront in the last few years, and where are we headed with that?
We'll see. I don't think for the Cape we're going to see a lot change in the zoning personally. I think we're going to see zoning changes more in higher dense areas. So like
Okay.
downtown Hyannis is already changing and so forth. But the zoning for waterfront, I think, is going to stay. You have to adhere to rules. We're trying to protect the land and the waters, and I don't
Mhm.
see anything too
Yeah.
much changing there.
Okay. All right. So, what's working really well in the luxury and waterfront market right now? I'm sure the demand is off the charts. And what has been more challenging for you and your business, and then for the industry as a whole?
Well, the challenging part right now is the inventory. So we're very, very low. We're back to the days of right before COVID hit, we were low in inventory on Cape Cod to begin with.
Yeah.
We're back to that same low. It's always been low, but it's low inventory. The calmness has calmed down from COVID, but there's still just not anything out there to sell people that want to buy in these, like in this, I'll say, second home market.
Right. Do you see prices increasing? Uh,
They're totally increased. They've
just,
dramatically increased. So
just,
when you used to hear, hey, I'm looking for something between 800,000 and maybe 1,200,000 is now something 1,500,000 to 2,000,000. That same property is now,
yeah.
just generally speaking, there's different circumstances, but generally speaking, that same property is now moved to 1,500,000 to the 2,000,000 range, which
Right.
is
Right.
a hot range here for us. If anything good is on there, that will get swept up. People come out for the good properties,
Yeah.
location
Yeah.
driven, when I say
Yes.
good.
Yes. What do you think the driver is? Is it just specific to the Cape? Um, is it waterfront everywhere? I mean, there's a insurance component that might be part of this, or maybe it's not in the
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, if you could comment on that, what's really driving it down there?
As far as
Yeah,
pricing
price.
or,
Yeah, pricing.
yeah,
The
the
price increase.
pricing, because of the
It,
low inventory.
yeah,
There's
people
just
just
not that
aren't
this
selling.
this is not, yeah, it's like supply and demand, right? There's just not
Yeah.
the supply, the demand is there, but buyers they are sitting and waiting for the right ones. And
Hmm.
especially in the second home market. They have a home. They live in a home.
Yeah.
They're not desperate. So
Yeah.
they wait for that right one. And then the homeowners that have the good so-called location properties aren't selling them,
Yeah.
are
Just sitting
holding
on it
on
down
to
there.
them. They're just sitting on them. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
My, oh
hoping
my.
maybe the grandchildren somebody will take it someday, or they don't want it. They know, like, once you sell, it's hard to get back in here if you want. And I think a lot of people have these legacy homes and they're hoping a family member could take it over. But sometimes you have different family members and they're in different financial places in their lives, and between it, like you mentioned, insurance and
Yeah.
taxes and all that, it's not inexpensive by any means. So
Hmm.
um
Okay. Um, here's a question on buyer expectations. Especially post-pandemic, has that changed any, or is it again still a function of the main problem here is there's just not enough inventory? Are people
mm,
just going for anything that comes available at this point?
they're not. And they were
They're
at
not.
COVID. They were
Okay.
at COVID and now they're not. They are waiting. So buyers,
Ah.
I think, have like said, hey, we're gonna wait for the one that's right. That craze part is over. Unless something comes on that's priced at the, underpriced or priced reasonably in a good location, you will see multiple,
Mm-hmm.
offers sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this for those, like if anyone's listening and they want to buy, at least here on Cape Cod, it is an awesome time to purchase because buyers, it's cold. We've had more snow than over a decade here. So
Mm-hmm.
those that will come out in this weather can secure a house with less competition than if a house came on in the spring. So you could
Okay.
take, yeah.
All right. So anybody hearing this, the place to head is Cape Cod, and go ahead and talk to Tia, and she'll set you up for a beautiful waterfront home. Um, Hopefully, there's a few available there, right?
Finding
Uh,
them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So, hey, you've seen a lot, starting in as a broker, and then moving up through the ranks here. Uh, do you have any memorable showings you could share with people? Anything that well, I'll let you
Yeah, I have a
okay.
few. Um, I mean, some of them just stick out. There's always we say you can't make this stuff up, but I will say one of the homes, and this was a little bit earlier on too in my career, it was that we closed so exciting on a beachfront home, and it was a divorce situation and the
Mhm.
wife wouldn't leave the house. She was
Oh,
doing laundry and she was going to head to the beach and come back and change the laundry. And it just went on like for a whole. I said, I thank God I have wonderful clients. I'm like, all I can do is really call we're already on record. This is like 6 hours later. She's still there. She's going to make something to eat. It was definitely one for the books, but she eventually left and
uh-huh.
my clients were gracious about it. So
Yeah, yeah.
and then another story with clients that wanted to take their boat lift with them. We couldn't get the boat lift right at closing, left it
Huh.
to the last minute.
Ah.
So I'm in my dress and my high heels and it can't move and jump in the water to help move this the stress to move this, but it's like what we
That
won't
is,
do. It's pretty much nothing we wouldn't do. But
yep,
yeah, that
make
was
the sale.
yeah.
Yep.
Help keep it, help whatever you do to have to keep the train on the tracks. But yeah, so those are
Oh, cool. Yeah, my
a couple
father
that
was a
stick out in my
broker.
mind.
And my father had his own company, so I often accompanied him actually on showings, especially land and apartment buildings. So
Oh yeah, you were
yeah,
more
yeah.
commercial.
There's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, there's some real gems. Anyways, um,
yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Um, so looking ahead, what do you see coming over the Cape, say next year, year after, the next 5 years? What's going to be happening in the luxury waterfront space moving ahead
Well,
here?
that's what's so great about the Cape Cod. There is only so much waterfront and so much land. There's not a lot of land left anymore, and especially on the water. If there is anything, it's so expensive. So, um, that's it's always going to be a great place to buy and appreciate in equity, in my opinion. But I don't see, I think that's always, I think it's just gonna, as far as that standpoint, ride out when the right ones come along, they're gonna be, I don't see it going back to 08, 09 personally
No.
and no, not that segue. I think if something's
Hmm.
priced reasonably, it will, if it's overpriced, it will sit there,
Yeah.
but if it's
Yeah.
priced reasonably, and I think we'll constantly see movement in that, you know,
Uh-huh.
at least like now it's like the say in and around 2 million.
Yeah.
When you go
Okay.
higher, it can sit, it definitely sits,
Hmm. Hmm.
but 4 or 5, but it depends. Yeah.
Right. Is there a lot of political buyers in your waterfront space? I'm thinking Martha's Vineyard. Is that a certain segment of your market? People
Well,
from Washington, D.C., they're
yeah,
friends.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, a house. They're not my clients. I'm on the other side of it. They're buying it. They're from Washington, D.C. I don't know if they're in
Yeah.
politics, but
Yeah.
a lot of politicians buy here. I personally don't work on the Nantucket, and Martha's Vineyard is its own
Yeah.
entity.
Yeah.
I stay on the Cape side. We have 15 towns, and under these 15 towns, we have a lot of, various villages in each
Yeah.
town. The rules and regulations in each is all different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just,
Mhm.
yeah, I stay there. I think going to Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, there's great agents out there. So, but yes, a lot of politicians they vacation there. I
They
don't know
headed to,
about buying, but they
okay.
definitely vacation.
Yes. Yes.
It's yeah, a
Is it more
vacation.
foreign buyers these days in the Cape, or are they folks from other countries? Is that increased?
No,
No. Okay. Okay.
no, which is interesting. So
Ah.
I have
Mhm.
a rental division, and I'm asked a bit if we are down in rentals because Canada isn't coming over to vacation here anymore. And I don't notice a difference,
Uh-huh.
but yes, they're definitely not coming as much for sure.
Mm, I see. See.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of advice would you give to buyers or sellers thinking about entering the market right now?
Well, I think it's, real estate, obviously, it's a great investment. And woulda, shoulda, coulda, ask yourself those questions. How many times have you
Yeah.
said, woulda, shoulda, I coulda? And I hear it every single day. I wish I bought that. I wish I bought that. I almost bought that. So it's a great time. The Cape's always going to go up, and it's always going to appreciate. And that's where, and you get to have fun with it. It's a fun place to be. It's beautiful
Hmm.
here. So,
Hmm.
there's no time like the present if this is what
Yeah.
you want to do. So I wouldn't worry about writing out the best time to buy, when to buy,
Yeah.
pricing. Just look for
Mm,
the right, when the right one hits you, go for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. The $2 million that looks expensive now, in another five
Yeah.
years, well, maybe it's 5 million at that point, right?
Yeah. You're seeing
Yeah.
that in New Hampshire too, I'm sure, right? Same with
Mm,
New Hampshire. Yeah. I think everywhere. So,
hmm. Hmm.
um, but
Yeah.
resort destinations, like it's always going to be desirable. People want to come, they want to come, whether it's Cape Cod or a different resort destination.
Nice, nice. This is more of a legacy question here for you. So, Tia, when you think about your career long term, what do you think about your legacy? Not just the transactions, but they'll say the lifestyle and the experience that you help create for your clients, and then for you personally. What's it meant to you doing your
Yeah.
work?
So for my legacy, and it's something I think about a lot, and sometimes I equate it to because I don't think my son wants to take over the business someday. It's not really for him. So but that's okay because that's what we all have to do what we want. But I think the biggest thing is making an impact in people's lives in the personal. in a personal point of view. And if I have done that, because it's a lot more than a home when they're buying, and then when they're selling too, they're going to a different chapter, and they need there's movement all the time. So I think it's the relationships I've developed, that legacy, and if I've made a family's life better, which I know if I had been able to be
Mm,
humbly honored to play a little role in that, because it's amazing. It's not just the house, people, the memories that they say, "Oh my gosh, I'm just so glad that we did this." Because
mm,
when you're buying a home, when you already have a home, it's not something that you have to do, if that makes
mhm,
sense. You're
mhm,
not, it's
mhm.
not to put shelter over your head. It's to create the memory. It's incredible of what that can be. And I get to hear about that and have played a little part in that. And I think that's what means the most to me, my
Nice, nice.
legacy. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, this has been a great conversation to you. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing your
Thanks,
perspective
Bill.
here. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Right. Oh, so we'll wrap it up here, and yeah, we'll get some snippets sent out. You got some good ones there. I can kind of tell already for some of those, and um, wow, you've got a tough market there right now, right? I mean, with the inventory situation, it's the same in my hometown is Northampton, New Hampshire, so we have like hardly any inventory there, and
Right.
I'm not going to sell my family there. So
You're Yeah, yeah, and you're not
yeah,
alone, and you're not alone. So
yeah,
that's what but it when the homes sit there and they don't get used, it's not good for the homes. So like
yeah.
somebody's got to like be using it some
Oh
kind of
yes,
way. So yeah.
you nailed it right there. All right, we have a massive problem, and maybe it's that way on the Cape. I don't know, but what's the labor situation like down
Yeah,
there for the
same.
folks that?
Same. Yes,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
same.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, as an aside here, sometimes you've got single parents or just one remaining parent living in a 3,000 square foot home with four bedrooms. Well, if we had a different approach, if we were taking a different approach to housing our young people and folks in general, we can serve two different types of folks. People that are living alone that need help perhaps with their taxes, and then the younger people that need a place to live. And
Hmm.
they're working in a higher end area. They're making decent wages, but to find a place to live, that's such a challenge. But we've got so
Right.
many rooms out there. We could solve this housing problem if we
I
really,
exactly. I
yeah,
racked my brain about it because I have a vacation rental department, and these homes sit there
yeah,
empty. Well, we winterize them for the winter because it's just, but I'm
yeah,
always trying to think of how you could put that together. But then you got like for Massachusetts, the laws are so strict. So it's
draconian, yeah,
if
uh,
you put somebody in and then they can't get out, it just completely like because you need the
yeah,
summer. But
yeah,
I like what you're saying, like for that is something I kick around
yeah,
that in my head all the time. Like elderly need help, but they
yeah,
find a
yeah.
way to
It,
bridge the gap
done right.
there.
I mean, people will do what they have to do to have housing. A lot of people are, say, staying in an RV that's parked in somebody else's driveway. That is going on in New Hampshire, definitely. Um, People are going to house themselves, whether it's legal or illegal.
Right,
They will do
right.
it. They will do what they have to do. Um, but
And in the rentals here, they just pack them in. So God knows
okay,
you'll see 10 cars in a 3 bedroom
okay.
one bath ranch driving by. So you know
Ah,
that it's,
this
you
right.
know that they're like, yeah, there's nowhere to
Yeah,
park. They're all on the lawn. It's so, but
yes,
it's sad. It's so sad. Like, cause they just can't afford like it's so yeah.
yeah.
And they're
Well, we'll see what pans out on that one. Local governments are starting to open up a little bit more. We have a good ADU law here in New Hampshire now, so
yeah, same
we can
here.
we can.
Same law. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
We got
cool.
the same thing here. But I
Okay.
think that's where you are heading in zoning. I don't think you're going to see much change on the water, though, because of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
setbacks and the laws and the rules and the regs. But they're definitely allowing. We'll see how that goes. I mean, and that's the other thing. It's just, there's always, uh, you know, whether they're good or bad, they're consequences. Sometimes consequences can be good too. It doesn't mean it's bad, but like if they start popping up all these ADUs places, I don't know if that's the right way to go
Yeah.
either. But
I gotta ask you, and
we're
David,
not on video right now. We're not on
we're not, but
oh,
we can be if you think
okay.
there's some interesting
Okay.
snippets out of this. But I was going to ask
Okay.
you about the new regulations and laws on real estate commissions with the big lawsuit that happened. That
Yeah.
wasn't part of my questions,
Oh,
but
I love to talk about that. So
please
I
do.
thought like we
Yeah,
can, if we get any other,
I,
yeah,
I've got a few more
because,
minutes, so we can record
oh,
this, and if you don't like it, we'll throw it away. It's not a
yeah,
big deal.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So on the new laws that just came out, that's not the right word. The lawsuit that just happened has
yeah.
affected the real estate industry deeply. Would you comment on this? What has that meant to your business there on the Cape?
Well, it's too bad it had to go to a lawsuit to have these changes happen. I
Hmm.
think they're great. I think this is something that should have been incorporated a long time ago. I'm not crazy about, hey, we meet each other and you need to sign a buyer agent agreement to work with me before I can show you the house. That part, I'm all for buyer agent agreements, but
Okay.
I like to I think we should have them and it should be separate. So there's transparency with who's paying what in terms, and you get to negotiate your own worse because I know as a buyer, I built my company on buyer agent. I think being a buyer agent is so much harder than listing a property. If you
Mm-hmm.
set the property up, like when I'm listing, I spend a lot of time on prep. Not
Mm-hmm.
always, but that's where my time goes. After that, I can put somebody in to show it. So one of my agents shows it. It's so easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
The buyer on the buy side, it's tough. We do a lot of work as a buyer agent. If you have a
Mm-hmm.
good buyer agent, they're doing due diligence, and that's what we're going to the town. We're finding out if there's orders of condition open and off. We're finding out if permits are open. What did they do anything? Did they
Mm-hmm.
pull a
Mm-hmm.
permit for the work? So it's a lot that goes behind it, but I think it's great. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
pro for this, and I think it gives the agents that are skilled an opportunity to decide what they're worth, and be paid for
Okay.
it. So I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Nice.
And
Nice.
you see a lot of, you might have read, like, and I follow certain people too. They're saying that it's actually increased what people are paying in commission.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gone down because people that are out there writing business, they're negotiating their own rate now than going to, hey, you list a property and I just gonna go along. You're paying
Yeah.
half or whatever. So yeah. So
Do you think this is going to favor buyers agents more than sellers agents? This new negotiation
I
standard
think it
that's put in
favors
place?
I think it favors both.
Okay.
So I think it favors both because everybody has a say. They always did have a say, which is like not much changed. Everybody thinks it's a big change. Not much change. It's just more transparency is out there. So
Right.
I'm sorry the lawsuit happened, but I think a lot of good came out of it. And I know agents listening to me might not agree, but if you hone your skills and you take a look at it, it's really quite awesome because you get
Mhm.
to, and for your client. So I'll give you, would you like an example? I
Yeah,
don't want to bore you,
please.
but I'll just give you
Absolutely.
an example. So
Absolutely.
so a lot of times, like when I'm on the listing side, so I'm going to talk about when I'm on the listing side, and I won't talk numbers because we're not supposed to talk numbers or percentage, but I will negotiate a higher percentage than we were getting in the but prior to the lawsuit and the regs changes. And then I have, so now my client gets a say when you come in and you write an offer for this listing. my client gets to decide what they want to pay. You might ask for a certain amount. They don't have to pay that. They could pay a portion, they could pay some. So, what I do a lot of times is if I'm up against like an experienced agent that I know is going to help make this sale smooth and go, I reduce my commission. I don't even tell them. I just say, look, I'm going to cover that. It's still the same what you planned. They're like, oh, thanks, Tia. I don't even let the other buyer agent know because it's just so it gives me room too. So, and now if I'm up against somebody that I know I'm going to end up, it's going to be more challenging, then we talk, discuss it. But everybody gets a chance to say their say. That's what's so great about it.
Great.
Does that
All
make
right.
sense? So, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I'm not greedy. I just want,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes
So
it's just being paid for your skill set. That's where
yeah.
it's not even about the money. I just want, for me personally, want to be recognized that I'm good at what I do. I will, in
Hmm.
my agents. So when I say we, all of us, we work so hard and,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
and be have the opportunity. And we're a lot of times we reduce, we'll say, sure, it depends on the situation, but we love the people. We're in it for the relationship.
Hmm.
So, and that goes with other agents too. So not just our clients, like being all the way around. Yeah.
Nice.
But
Well, thank you for your perspective on this. And
yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, a lot of people looking at it as a sea change sort of thing, but I've heard that from a few folks and from a real estate professional like yourself. Yeah, it's more transparency essentially
Yeah.
is your view on it. So,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
thank you, Tia. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
Yeah. This was great.
Yeah, good luck with all of your endeavors ahead here, and maybe you'll see me down there sometime looking around.
Yeah, that'd be great,
So,
Bill. That would be great.
okay,
You gotta make, you're not too
yeah,
far away, so you gotta get to the Cape. Yeah. But you're
yeah,
in
there
a
we go.
beautiful place as well. I want to get
Yeah,
to New Hampshire actually. So
well, yeah,
yeah.
there you go. We got a smaller coastline, but we love what we have. So,
Yeah, I want to go out there and ride my motorcycle through those roads.
there you
That's
go.
like my hopefully on my bucket list for
There we go.
next
There we go.
year. Yeah,
Okay,
so
Tia,
all
have
right,
yourself a
thank you
lovely
so
rest of the
much.
day. All right.
You too.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. Bye.
Take care.